Hey bro, just wanted to make you this video real quick, so just to get your thoughts on something. Looking at the swing that you sent me yesterday with no training aids or anything on you, there's still something that is fairly concerning to me that I just feel like it has to be addressed, because otherwise you're just going to be chasing this, chasing this arm structure dilemma, if you will, for forever. And forget about the arm structure for just 1 second. And I know what you're trying to do there. I know you're trying to have a flatter arm plane, lower your arms at the top. But the thing that concerns me is twofold. I want you to watch how much you increase hip flexion in the backswing. So if I look at this right here and just say, that's how my pelvis is bending, that's hip flexion. You dramatically increase hip flexion in the backswing, and then you increase it even more in the downswing, which means everything is kind of, to start your backswing, everything is kind of like falling away from the golf ball right there. That little move, sitting back into your right heel, sitting back into your heels, increasing the flexion of your pelvis. And you can see how your head moves down and away from that box at the top. But that's not necessarily the problem. The problem is that it is very exacerbated right here in transition. You go into such a mega deep hip flexion that you're lowering yourself really down close to the ball, and then essentially you find yourself here jumping away from the golf ball, literally having to go back into your heels. It's like you've squatted and lowered yourself so close to the ball, you feel like there's no space, so you have to like jump away and make space. And it seems like that problem's gotten worse and worse and worse, since we started working together. I'm trying to figure out like where that's coming from, because I have videos from our early work, 2017, 18, where this wasn't happening. Like, you weren't going back into your heels, like this so much. And the bottom line is, I just don't think you'll ever have any stability and control over the club face when we are essentially jumping away from the golf ball. Because for both of your feet to be up off the ground like that, and if your pressure to be so far back in your heels, that means that your pelvis is stalling at an incredibly rapid rate. And when that happens, that body segment slows down, the torso is going to slow down, and then the club head's going to speed up. And I just don't think, I'm not sure that it's tied to any kind of an arm structure thing. I think it's tied to the massive increase in hip flexion in your downswing and also in your backswing. So I'm looking at this swing over here from, I think this is 2014 Shriners. So you hadn't been a pro very long right here. So like, you don't do those things here. You turn your hips, your right knee lengthens out. You don't turn them quite as much, and you definitely don't move. It's like the pressure stays more on the balls of your feet here. You don't lower in the backswing. Big hip turn, plenty of hip turn, I should say. We don't need more body rotation than that right there. That's really good. Now, you could use a little bit more depth, but that's a whole nother topic of discussion. But the pressure moves back to the balls of your feet here, and you're in the shot, and you're very, very rotated, which is fine. And I don't think the right side bend is dramatic in this video. It's definitely more than you had in college, but there's definitely a lot more club face stability. And so I also looked at this swing, which I loved, and this was from college, obviously, Pac-12 championships. But I saw the same things. Like, I didn't see this massive increase in hip flexion. I didn't see you dropping so much in the downswing. I saw pressure more was on the balls of your feet in the downswing. Very, very short, externally rotated, kind of compact swing. You flex into the ground, you load into the ground beautifully, but you don't increase hip flexion dramatically. And again, I'm talking about that kind of angle in the pelvis right there. You turn back and you get really, really open. I mean, there's a reason why you drove it really good there. I mean, you're not flipping that thing around the corner. And dude, you're on both toes here. You're in the shot. And so that's, to get this open, I think the stick drill that you're doing is going to be detrimental to this, because if you open your hips up like you are in this swing, there's no way you don't hit that stick. So I'm wondering if you're training with that stick, decelerating your pelvis to get your arms down in front of you. And that's not what we want to be doing at all. We need you to be able to get open so that hand path can turn the corner like you're seeing in this video right here of college. But we also can't be increasing the hip flexion so much in the downswing that you have to literally fade away from the ball over here if you look at this video on the right. And so just think about that for a second, digest it, and then let me know what your thoughts are around that feel of hip flexion, and where you think that's this big exaggerated move, bending over, rocking back into your heels. Has that just come from deliberately trying to get deeper and deeper and deeper in a longer and longer backswing? If it has, then that's understandable. So I just wanted to make you aware of that, and let's have some discussions around that.